My family mocked me for being a loser and told me I'd never make it. 15 years later, they tried to reach out after seeing my success story on social media. 106 missed calls. Growing up, I was always the family screw-up, the one who couldn't get his act together. My parents never missed a chance to remind me how much of a disappointment I was. My older brother, Jason, was the golden child, straight A's, star athlete, never got into trouble. Mom and Dad practically worshipped him. Me? I barely scraped through school, never had a clear direction, and every job I tried ended up falling apart. They never let me forget it. At every family gathering, it was the same routine. "Oh, Jason just got promoted again. We're so proud of him. Did you hear? Jason bought a new house. We always knew he'd be successful." Then they'd look at me. "And you? Still at that gas station, huh? Ever thought about going back to school? Maybe try not to waste your life." I got used to it, pretending to laugh it off while they made jokes about me being the family loser. My mom even started introducing me to her friends like, "This is my younger son, Danny. He's figuring things out." Translation: he's a failure. Jason ate it up. He loved being the favorite, never missed a chance to rub it in. Every time he bought something new or got another promotion, he'd make sure to remind me how I'd never amount to anything. One night, we were all at a family barbecue, and Jason was bragging about his new car. Dad put his arm around him and said, "You know, Jason, I'm so proud of you. You're everything a father could hope for in a son. Not like some people who just drift through life." His eyes flicked to me, and everyone laughed. I forced a smile and excused myself to the backyard, pretending I needed some air. But that night, something broke inside me. I was done being their punching bag. I was done being the one everyone looked down on. I didn't have a plan yet, but I knew one thing: I was leaving. I scraped together every bit of money I had, which wasn't much, and bought a one-way bus ticket to the next city over. No goodbyes, no explanations. I just left. The first few months were brutal. I crashed in cheap motels, $8 menu meals, and picked up odd jobs to keep from starving. I didn't talk to anyone from back home. Not that they tried to reach out. I guess they didn't even notice I was gone. One day, while cleaning tables at a greasy diner, I overheard a guy talking about how he made money flipping old junk online. It sounded too good to be true, but I was desperate. That night, I used the last of my cash to buy a beat-up laptop from a pawn shop. I started small, picking up free stuff from Craigslist, cleaning it up and selling it on eBay. At first, it barely paid for food, but I stuck with it. I was determined to prove to myself that I wasn't useless. Over time, I got better at it. Learned how to spot valuable items, figured out how to write listings that grabbed attention. My sales picked up, and before long, I was making more money than I ever had at any of my dead-end jobs. One night, while scrolling through an online business forum, I saw a post about building your own brand. That's when it hit me. I could do more than just flip junk. I could create something real. I scraped together every dollar I'd saved and invested it into a small line of customized gadgets and accessories. It was risky as hell, but I didn't care. I was done being afraid of failure. My first few attempts bombed. I didn't know what I was doing, and I almost gave up. But then one product took off. A simple but stylish phone stand that went viral after a YouTuber featured it. Suddenly, I couldn't keep up with orders. I hired a small team, moved production to a local workshop, and put every bit of profit back into the business. It was terrifying, but for the first time I felt alive. I was building something that was mine. 5 years after I left home, I was running a 6-figure business. I didn't tell anyone back home. They didn't deserve to know. One day, while checking my emails, I saw a message from an old classmate. "Dude, saw your brand in that tech magazine. You made it big." "Huh? Proud of you." I didn't know how to feel. Part of me wanted to show off to everyone who doubted me, but another part just wanted to stay invisible. A few months later, a reporter reached out for an interview about my business journey. I hesitated, but in the end, I agreed. If nothing else, I wanted to tell my story, the story of the loser who made something of himself. When the article came out, it blew up. Suddenly, my face was plastered all over social media. My inbox flooded with congratulations. That's when I got curious and checked my family's profiles. Jason had shared the article with a long, fake-sounding caption about how proud he was of his little brother. My parents both liked and commented, acting like they'd always supported me. It made me sick. Then my phone started blowing up, calls, texts, voicemails, all from them. "We're so proud of you. Why didn't you tell us you were doing so well? Come visit us. We miss you." I didn't respond. Couldn't. All those years of being treated like garbage, and now they wanted to act like we were one big happy family? I checked my call log later. 106 missed calls. I blocked every number and tossed my phone on the bed, staring at the ceiling. Part of me wanted to go back just to show them how wrong they were. But the other part, the part that finally knew peace, knew better. I wasn't that scared, insecure kid anymore. I didn't need their approval. I didn't need anything from them. I got up, walked out onto the balcony, and looked out at the city I built my new life in. I'd done it without them. I made it on my own. And that was worth more than anything they could ever offer me now. Sometimes the best revenge isn't showing off your success. It's knowing you didn't need them to make it. A few weeks went by, and I didn't hear anything else from my family. I figured they'd finally given up and moved on. I was wrong. One evening, I was working late at the office, finalizing some designs for a new product line, when I got a text from an unknown number. Curiosity got the best of me and I opened it. "Hey Danny, it's Jason. Can we talk?" I just stared at the screen for a minute. Part of me wanted to delete the message and forget about it. But something in me needed to know why he was reaching out. I replied, "What do you want?" He didn't take long to respond. "Look, man, I know we haven't talked in a while. I saw your story. I'm proud of you. I never thought you'd make it that far." Couldn't help but scoff. Of course, he was proud now that I was successful. I didn't even bother replying. I put my phone down and tried to focus on my work. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed again. Another text from Jason. "Mom and Dad want to see you. They feel terrible about how they treated you. Can you give them a chance to make it right?" I gritted my teeth. Now they wanted to make it right? Now that I wasn't the loser they always thought I'd be? I typed back, "Funny how you only care now that I made it. Where were you when I needed support? When I was sleeping on couches and scraping by?" He didn't reply for a while. When he did, it was just one line. "You're right. I messed up. We all did. But they're really sorry." I didn't know whether to believe him or not. My parents had never once apologized to me in my entire life. It was always about how I wasn't good enough, how I wasn't like Jason. Now they suddenly wanted to play nice? A week went by, and I couldn't get it out of my head. I wasn't even angry anymore, just tired of carrying that resentment around. Part of me wanted to meet them just to see what they'd say. The other part still didn't trust them. Then, one night, while I was out having drinks with a few friends from the office, my phone rang. It was my mom's number. I almost hit decline, but something stopped me. I took a deep breath and answered. Her voice was shaky. "Danny." "Yeah," I said, keeping my tone flat. "Oh, honey," she sniffed, and I could tell she'd been crying. I don't even know what to say. I saw the article. And I'm so sorry. We're so proud of you." I didn't say anything. I wasn't about to make it easy for her. "Your father's been so ashamed. He doesn't know how to reach out to you. Jason said you were too hurt to talk to us and I just didn't know how to fix it." "Fix it?" I scoffed. "You kicked me when I was down. Made me feel like a worthless screw-up. Now that I'm successful, you suddenly care? What do you really want, Mom?" She was quiet for a moment, probably trying to compose herself. We want our family back," she whispered. "We miss you. We're so sorry for how we treated you. Your dad won't say it, but he regrets every word." I bit back the anger simmering in my chest. I didn't know if she was telling the truth or just trying to manipulate me. I wasn't a stupid kid anymore. I could see through their guilt trips. "Tell Jason to stop texting me," I said coldly. "And don't call me again. You made your choice years ago." Before she could respond, I hung up. My hands were shaking, and I realized I was more pissed off than I thought. All those years of feeling worthless, and now they just wanted to sweep it under the rug? The next day, I woke up to a long, rambling text from my dad. It was surprisingly raw. No blame, no guilt tripping, just him admitting how much he regretted pushing me away. He said he was proud of me but didn't expect me to forgive him. For a second, I almost considered replying. Almost. But then I remembered how he'd looked at me that night at the barbecue. Like I was a failure. Like I was an embarrassment to him. That image had burned itself into my brain, and no amount of apologizing was going to erase it. I blocked his number. I wasn't going to be sucked back into their toxic mess. Later that day, I was in the office working on a new prototype when one of my employees knocked on the door. "Hey, Danny, there's a guy out front asking for you. Says he's your brother." I froze. What the hell was Jason doing here? I debated just telling them to kick him out, but I was too curious to ignore it. I told my employee to let him in. Jason walked in, looking awkward and out of place in his fancy business suit. He gave me a weak smile, but I didn't return it. "What do you want?" I asked bluntly. He looked around the office, clearly impressed. "Wow, you really made it, huh?" I didn't respond. I just folded my arms and stared at him. He cleared his throat. "Look, I know you hate us. You have every right to, but Dad's been struggling. Lost his job. Mom's health isn't great either. They just want to see you. Make things right." I let out a bitter laugh. "Right? Now that I'm rich and successful, they want to make things right. Convenient timing, don't you think?" He had the decency to look ashamed. "Yeah, I get it. You don't owe them anything. But I had to try. They miss you, man." I didn't even look at him. They missed the idea of me, the son they wanted me to be. Not the real me. They never cared about that. Jason sighed and rubbed his face. "I screwed up too. I know I was a dick to you. Always made you feel like crap. I thought I was just being the better brother. I didn't realize how much it was hurting you." For the first time, he actually sounded sincere. but I couldn't let go of all that pain just because he decided to feel guilty now. I'm not coming back, I said flatly. I built my own life without any of you. I'm not risking it just to play nice and pretend everything's okay. He nodded like he expected that. I get it. Just take care of yourself, all right? He left without another word. And I just sat there, trying to process the weird mix of emotions swirling around in my head. Anger, relief, sadness, maybe even a little bit of pity for them. But mostly I just felt tired. I wasn't going back to being that desperate kid who begged for their approval. I wasn't giving them the satisfaction of being needed. I had fought too hard to get here, and I wasn't giving up my peace for anyone. Not even family. After Jason left, I felt weirdly empty. Like I'd been carrying around this grudge for so long that I didn't know what to do without it. Part of me kept thinking about my mom's voice on the phone. How broken she sounded. But I couldn't forget how they treated me. Years of being called a loser. Years of being compared to Jason. Years of being told I wasn't good enough. I pushed it out of my mind and focused on my business. We were launching a new product line, and I had meetings lined up with investors. I couldn't afford to get caught up in family drama. I'd worked too hard to get to this point, and I wasn't about to let their guilt trips mess with my head. But even with all the success, it still bothered me. I'd find myself zoning out at the office, thinking about those years I spent being treated like a burden, wondering if they ever really loved me, or if I was just an inconvenience they had to put up with. One night, I was sitting on my balcony with a drink, watching the city lights, when I got a message from an old friend from high school. Hey man, long time no see. I saw your article. Crazy how you made it big. Your parents must be so proud. I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. Proud? Yeah, right. I didn't even reply. I just closed the app and took another sip of my drink. Everyone just assumed that since I was successful now, my family must have supported me the whole way. Nobody knew the real story, how I was the black sheep they couldn't wait to get rid of. I thought about that barbecue night again. How Dad had put his arm around Jason and told him how proud he was, while I just stood there like an outsider. How they never once believed I could make something of myself. How they never bothered to call when I disappeared. I felt a sudden urge to tell my side of the story, not just to my friends, to the world. The next morning, I sat down and started writing. I poured out everything. The years of being treated like a failure. The way they laughed at me, ignored me, belittled me. How I left with nothing and built a new life on my own. I wrote about the long nights, the crappy jobs, the determination to prove them wrong. When I was done, I posted it online with a simple title. Sometimes family isn't about blood. It's about who actually believes in you. I didn't expect it to blow up, but it did. Thousands of comments poured in, people sharing their own stories of being disowned or mistreated by family. Some people were furious on my behalf, calling out how toxic my parents were. Others just related, saying they'd gone through similar things. A few days later, I got a message from Jason. Why the hell did you post that? Mom's crying nonstop. Dad's furious. You're making us look bad. I didn't reply. I didn't owe him an explanation. The next message came from my mom. Please take that post down. Your father's devastated. Why are you doing this to us? I just shook my head and put my phone on silent. They still didn't get it. They still didn't see that I wasn't doing this to them. I was doing it for me. For once, I was telling my story the way it really happened. A few days later, I was at a business event, mingling with other entrepreneurs, when someone approached me. She was in her 50s, dressed sharp with a warm smile. Are you Danny? She asked. Yeah, I said cautiously. I read your post, she said. Your story really moved me. It reminded me of my own journey. I just wanted to say, thank you for being brave enough to share it. We ended up talking for over an hour. She told me about how she left a toxic marriage and built her own company from the ground up. I told her about my struggles, the way I had to fight to prove I wasn't a failure. By the end of the night, I realized something. I wasn't alone. There were so many people out there who had been torn down by the people who were supposed to love them. And I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was thriving. When I got home that night, I saw more missed calls from my family. I didn't bother listening to the voicemails. I knew it would just be more guilt-tripping and emotional manipulation. Instead, I poured myself another drink, sat back on the balcony, and looked out at the city I now called home. I'd built this life on my own. I'd proven to myself that I didn't need them to succeed, and I didn't need their approval to feel proud of who I'd become. They wanted me to stay small and broken, but I grew without them. And that's the best revenge of all. I thought that was the end of it. I thought I'd finally put the past behind me. But one evening, While I was in the middle of a meeting with some potential investors, my assistant knocked on the door. "Hey, Danny," she said, looking a little uneasy. "There's someone here to see you. Says it's important." I raised an eyebrow. "Who is it?" She hesitated. "Your dad." My stomach dropped. I hadn't seen him in over 15 years. Just hearing that he was here made my hands shake. I forced myself to stay calm and told her to send him into my office. When he walked in, I barely recognized him. He looked older, thinner, and a lot less intimidating than I remembered. His shoulders were slumped, and his face looked worn out, like life had chewed him up and spit him out. We stood there in awkward silence for a moment before he spoke. "You've done well for yourself," he mumbled, glancing around at the fancy office space. I didn't respond, just leaned back in my chair and waited for him to get to the point. He swallowed hard, avoiding eye contact. "Your mom's in the hospital," he finally said. That hit me like a punch to the gut. No matter how much anger I'd carried, I never wanted her to be hurt. "What happened?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Heart attack," he muttered. "She's stable now, but the doctors say it's serious. She's been asking for you." I felt a weird mix of guilt and resentment. Of course, they only wanted me around now that something had gone wrong. "What do you want from me?" I asked coldly. He glanced down, his hands trembling. "She just wants to see you. We didn't know how to reach you. Jason told us about your company, and I thought I'd try." I could feel my jaw clenching, anger bubbling up despite the news. "So you didn't even try to find me until you needed me?" He looked up, his eyes red and tired. "I know we screwed up. I know I was hard on you. I didn't know how else to be. You were just different. Not like Jason." "That's your excuse?" I snapped. "You treated me like crap for years because I wasn't your perfect son?" He looked like he wanted to argue but didn't. He just sighed and rubbed his face like he couldn't find the right words. "I was wrong," he finally admitted. "I didn't know how to be a good father to you. I didn't know how to handle you." His voice broke at the end, and for the first time in my life I saw him look vulnerable. It was weird. I wasn't used to seeing him like that, weak and regretful. Part of me almost felt sorry for him. But I couldn't forget all the years of pain. All the nights I cried myself to sleep wondering why I wasn't good enough. All the times he made me feel like I'd never be more than a burden. "You know what's funny?" I said, leaning forward. "You always told me I'd never make it, that I was just wasting my life. And now here you are, standing in my office, asking for my help." He didn't say anything, just looked down at his shoes like he was too ashamed to meet my eyes. "I'll think about visiting Mom," I said, keeping my tone ice cold. "But don't expect anything from me. You made your choice a long time ago." He just nodded, muttered a quiet thank you, and left. I didn't feel triumphant or satisfied, just empty. That night, I sat on my balcony, trying to make sense of everything. My mom was sick. My dad was a broken man. Jason was trying to fix things that couldn't be fixed. And I was just numb. I knew deep down that I didn't owe them anything. They had abandoned me when I needed them most. They left me to fend for myself and never bothered to check if I was okay. But some part of me couldn't let go of the idea of family, even if mine had been toxic and cruel. I didn't sleep that night, just sat there staring at the city lights, wondering if I should go to the hospital or just let them deal with it alone. In the morning, I got another text from Jason. "Dad told me he saw you. Mom keeps asking when you'll visit. Please, just come see her. She's not doing well." I didn't respond. I didn't know how. Instead, I went back to work, drowning myself in meetings and projects just to keep my mind off everything. A few days later, I was going through some old boxes at home when I found an old photo album. Pictures of me as a kid, grinning ear to ear, with my mom smiling next to me. Back when life felt simpler, before they decided I wasn't good enough. I closed the album, feeling that familiar ache in my chest. I didn't know if I could face them again, but I couldn't shake the guilt gnawing at me either. That night I made up my mind. I wasn't going back for them. I wasn't doing it to fix the past or make peace with my dad. I was going because Despite everything, I still loved my mom. She didn't deserve to die without at least knowing that I was okay. The next morning, I drove to the hospital. My hands were shaking the whole way there. I wasn't sure what I was going to say, or if I'd even go through with it. But I needed to see her, if only to prove to myself that I wasn't as heartless as they thought I was. When I got to her room, Jason was there, looking exhausted. He glanced up and did a double take when he saw me. "Danny?" he whispered, like he couldn't believe I was actually there. I didn't respond, just walked past him and stood by her bed. She looked so small and frail, hooked up to machines that beeped steadily. Her eyes fluttered open, and when she saw me, she actually smiled. "Danny," she breathed, reaching out a shaky hand. I hesitated, but finally took it, squeezing gently. She looked like she wanted to say 1,000 things, but no words came out, just a few tears slipping down her cheeks. "I'm here," I whispered, not really sure what else to say. Jason gave us space, slipping out of the room while I stayed by her side. She just kept staring at me like she couldn't believe I was real. "I'm sorry," she whispered, barely audible. "I'm so sorry." I couldn't hold back the tears anymore. I didn't know if I could forgive her, but for that moment I just let myself feel it. The pain, the hurt, the loss. I didn't know what would happen next, but I knew one thing. I wasn't doing this for them. I was doing it for me. After leaving the hospital, I felt like I was floating, like my feet weren't really touching the ground. Seeing my mom like that had shaken me to my core. I wasn't used to her looking so small, so vulnerable. I kept replaying her words in my head. "I'm so sorry." Part of me wanted to believe she meant it. Part of me wanted to forgive her and let go of the years of pain. But another part of me couldn't forget how she stood by and did nothing while Dad tore me down. I spent the next few days buried in work, trying to drown out the memories. But the phone calls kept coming, from Jason, from Dad, even from a few relatives who'd heard I was back in town. I didn't answer any of them. I just couldn't deal with it. One evening, while I was sitting at home trying to unwind, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost ignored it, but something told me to pick up. "Hello." "Hey, Danny." Jason's voice came through, but it sounded strained. "Can we talk for a minute?" I sighed. "What now?" He hesitated. "Mom's out of the hospital. She's recovering, but she keeps asking about you. She just wants to see you again." I didn't know how to respond. I wasn't ready to be dragged back into the family chaos. "I don't know, Jason. It's a lot." "I get it," he said quietly. "But she really misses you. And so do I." That caught me off guard. Jason had never admitted to missing me before. It was always about being the better brother, the favorite son. "Why now?" I asked. "Why does everyone suddenly care now that I'm successful?" He took a deep breath. "It's not just that. I know, I was a jerk to you. I wanted to be Dad's favorite, and I thought the only way to do that was to make you look like the failure. I didn't realize how much it was hurting you." I stayed silent, letting him stumble through his confession. "I'm not asking you to forgive me," he continued. I hate how things turned out. We were brothers once, you know? I just wish I hadn't been such an ass." There was genuine regret in his voice, and for the first time, I didn't feel that burning anger anymore. I just felt tired. "I don't know if I can just pretend like nothing happened," I admitted. "I'm not asking you to," he replied. "Just think about it. Mom's been trying to write you a letter. She's not good with words, but she's trying." That hit me harder than I expected. My mom was never the type to express her feelings openly. If she was writing me a letter, it meant something. "I'll think about it," I said, and then hung up without waiting for more. A few days later, a package arrived at my office. No return address, just my name written in shaky handwriting. I opened it to find a small, old notebook, one I recognized immediately. It was my mom's recipe book, filled with handwritten notes and stained pages from years of cooking. Inside the cover, there was a folded-up piece of paper. I carefully unfolded it and saw her familiar, uneven handwriting. "Danny, I don't know how to say this without messing it up. I'm not good with words, but I need you to know, I was wrong. I stood by and let your father hurt you because I was too scared to stand up to him. I was a coward. I thought staying silent was keeping the peace, but I didn't see how it was breaking you. You didn't deserve that. You deserved a mother who protected you, who believed in you. I know I can't take back the years of hurt, and I can't undo the damage we did. But I want you to know that I love you. I always did. I just didn't know how to show it. I'm proud of you, proud of everything you've built. I just wish I'd told you that sooner. I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me, but even if you can't, I understand. I just needed you to know the truth. Love, Mom. I stared at the letter for a long time, feeling a weird mix of anger, sadness, and relief. Part of me wanted to throw it away and pretend I never saw it. Another part wanted to run to the hospital and hug her. I didn't do either. I just sat there, letting myself cry for the first time in years. That night, I went to the kitchen and pulled out the recipe book, flipping through the pages. I found one of my favorites, her homemade lasagna. I remembered how she used to make it for special occasions, and how she'd always let me help with the sauce, even when I made a mess. I spent the next few hours cooking, following her recipe to the letter. It wasn't perfect, but it tasted like home. Like the home I wished I'd had. When it was done, I sat down at the table with a plate of lasagna and just stared at it, feeling the weight of everything crashing over me. I didn't know if I could forgive her. I didn't know if I even wanted to, but I couldn't deny that something had shifted inside me. For the first time, I wasn't just angry. I was sad. Sad for the family I'd lost, for the love I never really felt, and for the years I spent convincing myself I didn't care. I didn't call her that night. I didn't call anyone. I just sat there with my thoughts and memories, trying to figure out where to go from here. Sometimes healing isn't about forgiveness. It's about letting yourself feel the hurt and deciding to move forward anyway.